Right, we're going to continue on in section 8.3 by subtracting integers. So as we're going through this process and as we're subtracting our integers, notice that we don't really have a new rule here. As far as subtracting integers, it says we want to think about this as adding the opposite of the second number to the first. So what we're going to do here is we're no longer going to think about these as being subtraction problems. We're going to think about these as being two signed numbers with a plus sign in between them, an imaginary plus sign in between them, and then use our addition rules from the previous section in order to do these. Right? So as we're working through these, a couple of them I'm going to rewrite, do a little bit of rewriting, and then most of them I'm just going to kind of go through and solve. And as we're going through, again, we're referring back to our rules for addition from the previous chapter, or previous section, excuse me. So remember when we were adding numbers, right, that had the same sign, right? So two positives or two negatives, right? In order to do those, we added and we used the common sign in our answer. Right, so positive plus positive gave us a positive answer. A negative plus negative gives us a negative answer. Right? And then when we were adding numbers that had different signs in the previous section, remember there, instead of adding our absolute value of the numbers, we subtracted our absolute value of the numbers. Right? So we're always going to take the larger number minus the smaller number. Right? And then we use the sign of the larger number. So if our larger number is positive, we're going to have a positive answer. If our larger number is negative, we're going to have a negative answer. As we are going through these problems, we're also going to be using the idea of opposites that we saw in the previous example. Okay. So looking at example A. Right, so for all of these it says rewrite each subtraction as addition and then evaluate the sum. And I'm going to rewrite a couple and then the rest of them I'm just going to talk through. All right, so looking at A, 12 minus 5. Right, thinking about this as a simple subtraction problem, we know that 12 minus 5 equals 7. Right? But obviously they're not always going to stay this simple. So what we want to be able to do is we want to think about this as addition. So we keep our 12 as a 12. We're going to write that invisible plus sign in between here. Right? And then this minus 5 we're going to think about as being a negative 5. Right? 12 plus negative 5. Well, different signs, so we subtract. Our larger number is positive, so our answer is positive 7. Right? For B, looking at B, we have 6 minus negative 4. If we look at this one, notice that we have minus a negative. Right? In the previous example, when we were looking at opposites, we said that two negative signs right next together like this. Right? This is the opposite of negative 4. Well, the opposite of negative 4 is really positive 4. So I'm actually going to turn both of these minus signs into plus signs. Right? Now what I have is an addition problem. 6 plus 4 gives us 10. Right? So by changing those two negatives into two positives, we have a positive 6, a positive 4. We add them together, we get a positive 10. Right? For C, here we have a minus sign in the middle, so we're going to rewrite this one as we did in the first example. 4 plus negative 10. Right? So we put our plus in between, the negative goes with the 10. We subtract. 10 minus 4 gives us 6. Our larger number here is negative. So our answer is going to be negative 6. All right, for D, these two negative signs here are going to turn positive like they did in example B. Right, minus a negative 9, right, is the same as plus a positive 9. So negative 3 plus 9, we have different signs, so we're going to subtract. Right, 9 minus 3 gives us 6. Our larger number is positive, so our answer is positive 6. Again, we can write the plus in here. You can leave it out. In the last section, I left a lot of the plus signs in here. And then as we continue to go through the problems, it's up to you. Just make sure the ones that are negative you keep with a negative sign. So this one you can put the plus sign in there if you prefer, or leave it out, either way. For E, we only have one minus sign in the middle, so I'm going to rewrite this as an addition problem. -5 plus -3. These are the same sign, so we're going to add them. They're both negative, so we get a -8. Right? -5 plus a -3 gives us a -8. Again, if you're not as comfortable with the rules, same sign, different sign, or if you want to double check, think money. Right? We've got -5 in our bank account. We go spend $3. Well, now we have -8. Nope, I cut that one off. For the next one, right, we have -12 plus, or excuse me, -12 minus -2, which is going to turn into a -12 plus 2. Since we have different signs, one's negative, this is now positive, we subtract. 12 minus 2 gives us 10. Our larger number is negative, so we're going to have a -10 here. Right, for G, these two minus signs in the middle are going to turn to two plus signs. So -6 plus 6, remember these are our additive inverses that we saw in this previous section. We have the same number, two opposites, one positive, one negative. We add them together, they cancel each other out and give us 0. All right, then this last one, we have a 0 in here. We're thinking this is 0 plus -7. Well, 0 plus anything, right, is just that anything that we started with. So if we don't change our -7, right, our answer is -7 here. So again, as we're going through these, same signs we add, different signs we subtract. Then we make sure we choose our answer, our sign in our answer accordingly, based on our same rules that we saw in the previous section for addition. Now, you don't necessarily have to write out each problem as a subtraction. The more of these you do, the more comfortable you're going to get without kind of writing out this middle step. So for a lot of these, if we just have nice small integers that we're working with, they shouldn't be too bad. If you have fractions or decimals, it might require a little bit of work. And I definitely will go through and talk about a few examples using some fractions and decimals. But for the most part for now, just think about your rules, right? Do we have the same signs or do we have different signs? Do we want to add our numbers or are we subtracting our numbers?